Hello and good morning, everyone. Paul Trani here. Gonna jump into today's creative kickoff, which is all about Illustrator tips. This is part 3, and yeah, I'm excited for this, and I'm glad you are here. So feel free to say hello in chat. Would be great. And yeah, this is going to be fun. This is part 3, basically going through all my favorite Illustrator tips. I love Illustrator because it's vector-based, which means I could change this content at any point, which is awesome. What's up, Curtis? Good to see ya. Awesome. Cool. All right. So let's check this out. Let's just kind of switch over and get this party started. So let's talk about brushes. This is where I'm going to start. So I have these graphics, and this is pretty straightforward. I think you might know how this works, but I'm going to show you pro tips in here. Because what do we have? Oops. Let's just get rid of that. Deselect that. I'm just going to throw away that brush. So yeah. Let's talk brushes. How to easily create and manipulate brushes. So right in here, this is what I have. These are my elements. This is usually how I'll lay it out. Sometimes I'll put an invisible box in the sort of the background just to make sure that everything just is contained within an area. And this invisible box, which doesn't have a stroke or a fill, just gives me the area to draw in. So that's what I'll usually do. Because otherwise it's going to be whatever leaf length you have there. But once you have your graphics done, just select them, drop them in here. Unfortunately, you cannot use gradients, but then you want to select pattern brush. I'm going to click OK. It's going to pop this up, and all we need to do is select this outer corner. So auto centered, auto between, totally up to you. Just make sure the corners are good to go, and we'll click OK. So we made our brush. All right. And we can select N for pencil, select our brush, and draw. We could see it right there. We can create this as many times as we want. Now, notice I have not added the end. This is the easiest way to add the end, which I just like. I just love this. Because all you need to do, and this is your pro tip, is take your graphic and then just drop it right over here by holding down the Option key. So that's your pro tip. You want it to be at the end of your line. It's going to be the last square right here. Option drag, release. It's going to pop this up. It's going to put it in the right location. You just click OK, and it's done its job. Okay, so now when I have that selected and I draw with the pencil, we could see it there on the end. Okay, so nice. So easy to work with. And the reason I like brushes is we could jump in here and adjust the colorization. So here we have 4 different methods. We have tints. It's going to tint it the color you choose. Tints and shades, and then hue shift. A lot of times this is going to be based on the color. So what you do is you might pick, say, this red. So that's the color that's going to change the tint and shade based on my new color. So let's apply this to the strokes and look what happens. It changes it based on the color of my stroke. So now it's tinting it and shading it the stroke color. So if I change this one to, we'll go more blue, you could see what's going on. It's tinting all of these accordingly because I have tints and shades selected. If I change it to just tints and click OK, and we'll apply it, you can see it applies it to everything. Sort of gives it a monochrome look. We'll go back in here. Lastly, we have hue shift. So shift it from red to that blue. Ready? Click apply. You get sort of this method, which kind of might work out to be the best in this case. As I kind of change it, you can see what happens. Let's kind of go through the different color wheel. We could have our red, and then we can kind of shift it down, and it's still kind of within the same family, which I like. And just gives us some flexibility. So hue shift is probably going to be your best use case. And there we are. Just having some fun. Look at these, and these are all like editable. Another pro tip, if you decide you want to change your brush, like you modified a leaf, like you'll come in here and you're like, oh, I want to add more to it. Or maybe this is too detailed and I don't like these lines. So I'm going to remove these lines for most of them. But I've done some modifications. You don't have to recreate the brush. It's the same situation where you can just kind of come down here, Option, drag right on top of your original brush, and it will replace it. We'll click OK. Bingo, it replaces it. So I think Option dragging into this brushes panel is the pro tip I have for you. Okay, and again, makes it super fun. As you're drawing, a tip I had from last week, which I think is absolutely huge, is going into the appearance panel and making sure this is unchecked. So the reason I'm able to draw flower after flower after flower and it doesn't reset, it's because this is unchecked. Appearance panel, don't reduce everything back to its basic appearance every time I draw. That's so annoying. Just give me the brush that I've been using or the appearance that I've been using, and we can create a plethora of brushes. Cool. There we have that. All right. That's really fun. Fun stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and check chat real fast. Oh, looks like we are good. Frosia, awesome. Pearly cream cheese. I'm not sure what's going on with Behance, but Muriel, good to see you as well. Felicia, awesome. So here we are. This is my one graphic. I've actually created a number of things. Check these out. Use those brushes, and I've made some art. I'm actually making like some playing cards, or I've made playing cards. Which, hey, this is pretty cool. This is great. I have all these hearts. I have everything laid out appropriately. In fact, if we take a look, we can see I have all the cards done. Here are all the cards. Well, excuse me, 3 out of the 4 suits. So how do you make that last suit? Because I need to make the spades. How do you make the spades? That's the big question. Do you have to duplicate and replace everything? Yeah, of course you're going to start out by duplicating and replacing. But let me just show you this real fast. I'm going to take this. This is what you normally do. Option, Shift, drag it down. That's not the pro tip, but that does duplicate everything. But it makes this final row that's going to be called spades. Okay? But the thing is, they're not all spades. In fact, these hearts are all screwed up too. But how do I turn this diamond into spades? Do I have to copy and paste? Well, you do only have to do it once. So check this out. I'm going to turn everything off. Only this row is available. And right in here, this is the magic. So here is my pro tip. You ready for this, guys? Awesome pro tip in Illustrator. This is called Global Edit, sort of a global search and replace of graphics. It's amazing. So let's check it out. Right in here, I have all of these diamonds that I want to replace. I want to replace them with this spade. So all I need to do is, I have my spade right here. It's about the same size. I'll cut it, okay? So for this diamond, I'm going to tell Illustrator, just go find all the diamonds. And let's do that by going over to my properties panel right over here, Start Global Edit. When I click on that, it's going to highlight it everywhere. See where it's highlighting it? It's highlighting it everywhere, all the way down for all of these. It highlights it based on that shape. Doesn't matter if it's rotated, shrunk down, whatever the case may be. And then all I do is paste. Paste in my new symbol. And then I can get rid of the diamond. Now watch what happens. Boom. Look, it's all replaced everywhere. These were once diamonds and now they're spades. Thanks to Global Edit. How cool is that? For this one, I still have to do it as well, but I could do the same thing. Let's just do a quick, expand. And those are not symbols. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. I'm not really sure what's going on with this one, to be honest with you. I probably just do this. Let's just do this. Zip, zip. Just like that. There we go. We have 10. And I'd kind of adjust accordingly. Whatever. But really cool what you can do. Global editing in Illustrator will allow you to sort of find and replace graphics. Makes it so easy when you're changing things. So that's looking pretty good. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Thanks, Afrosia. Appreciate that. And Felicia. I see Michelle. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's take a look. And thanks for hanging out with me. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. And we are back. Cool. Robert, Marsha, Carol, what's up? Server was down. Something. Either way, if you're following me, I basically did a global edit. Magic is what was happening. But basically, I was able to make all these cards. I really made one row of black, one row of white, and then started replacing all the various suits. And at this point, it's just a matter of exporting everything out. Who is Carol? Who's Riker? Tell me who Riker is. But I thought this was kind of cool. Like someday I'll do more with these, but I think they turned out pretty cool. Anywho, so right here, I have this done. From there, all you need to do to export out all of these artboards. Key thing is I just make sure that my artboards are named correctly. So right over here, we can see most of them are named exactly as they need to be named: clubs, diamonds, aces. And then from there, we can go into export for screens. And then here's everything based on artboards. All of them. And you can make them any size or multiple sizes if you want to as well. So that's your quick export of all your artboards, is typically how I do things. So we've exported all those out. We'll export them out to my desktop. And there, it made all of those assets. Bingo. Shabango. Cool. Easy enough. So we've exported out our cards, but now I actually want to really kind of show off that this is a card. So I want to give this some dimension. Okay. In fact, I want to take maybe the king card. So let's have some fun here. I'm going to first just draw out a card shape. Here's my card shape. Zoop. There it is. We will make it just a simple color really fast, just for starters. But this brings me to my next tip. Okay, pro tip in Illustrator: how to create items in perfect perspective, right? Rather than bending and manipulating all these vectors. I'm going to show you how to do this right now. So right in here, I do want to make this card. There's my card. Well, I want to show it in perspective, and I can use various manipulation tools, but you know what? That's like a lot of work. And I think there's an easier way, and there is an easier way with the new 3D and materials panel. So right in here, what I will do is I will select my graphic and I'll turn it into a flat 3D object, a plane. Click. Now it's a plane. Now I can just rotate this around any way I want. I want some perspective with it. We can give it that perspective, but I'm not bending those vectors. This is going to be really important in a second. So I'm not bending those vectors. I'm actually just adjusting these sliders. But now I need to put a face on it. I need to make this the king card because that's what I'm showing off. All right, so how do we do that? Well, that's under materials. Go to materials. You have materials and graphics. Switch to graphics. Take really anything you want. Like I said, I want to take this king card. Here's my king card. In fact, let's take my king of hearts. Grab your graphics, drop it into the materials panel, and you can see it right here. So this is perfect. Now all we need to do is go back to our shape and select the graphic we just added. Click, and now it's added. So cool. We could reposition it. If I select it, looks like I dropped it on there twice. I can reposition it. So I'm repositioning it. But honestly, it put it perfectly in there. I don't even hardly need to resize it at all. Oh, there it is. Cool. If I want to manipulate the object, I'll just select default or click off of it and back on. But now I can rotate this around in 3D space any way I want and rotate it accordingly. I personally like playing with perspective right here because this kind of gives me the cool look I want. But also we want to give it a shadow as well. So let's play some with materials and lighting a little bit more. So in materials, we can give it more of a metallic look. So just increase the metallicness and it'll give it a little bit more of a sheen. We can also go into lighting, and this is of course where a lot of the reflections and everything happens. So we can adjust the lighting here. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on. I encourage you to turn on shadows. So we'll turn on shadows. I'll adjust this light. Remember, this is a flat object. So what we need to do is we need to increase the distance from the object. So there we have our shadow. It's looking pretty good. We can adjust accordingly. Any angle that we want, something kind of like that. And it's still a little intense because I turned up the metallicness of that card a lot. So we could still take that down. But once you kind of have that dialed in where you want it, just go right up here because you want to render it. So we actually want to render out, do some ray tracing. But essentially just click this little button, which is the render with ray tracing button. And you're going to get a good idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, it softens the shadows, shows me that that light is really intense because this lighting is just nailing it right on the top corner. So you might need to adjust that. A big mistake everybody makes is they keep this on. You need to just turn that off, do your adjustments, decrease the intensity of the light, make this light also softer so we don't have that high reflection, and then just click that render ray tracing button again. Ooh, Marsha, great question. Can you adjust? So this is already looking much better. Can you adjust the depth of field? The answer is no. But I love that idea. And that's the case where I'd actually export this out as an OBJ, bring it into Stager, which has that capability. Also, look what happens. You'll get this. You'll get some clipping because there's a bounding box in here. So that means we need to go right down here to our shadows and just increase that bound box. It's going to render it again because I made that change, but we'll see it. Wait for it. Boom. In fact, let's show it on white. Come on now. And this is Illustrator. Yeah. Thank you, Carol. You can do it in Dimension. You can do it in Stager and other apps. So super cool. Because also, I think in Stager, you can stand it up on it so it's like balancing on a corner. That's what I would like to do, is like make sure it looks like it's sort of balancing on a corner. Now that I have this done, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to take this and I'm going to add this to my asset export panel. Click. I've just added this to my asset export panel. So this is different than export as, in that my card example, I could always change. So if I jump in here and I decide I want to rotate this other direction, it's actually linked back. We'll update this asset as well. So a lot of my cards I can put in here, or a lot of my individual objects I can put in here, and you get the idea. Let's turn that off. Let's rotate this back. There we go. I'm just tweaking this. There we go. Render. Cool. Hello, Kevin. How you doing? And Marsha. So right now, let's take a look at this. It's going to export this out. That's why I like this asset export panel. It will export it out. Typically, you'll have ping set up, which is great because I want to export this out just to give me a ping with the transparency. Okay. So that's what's happening with this asset. We can click export and it'll export that out. Let's actually take a look at it. Here's my ping file. Remember, we increased the bounding box size. That's why it's larger. But also, like I mentioned, what if I do want to bring it into Stager or Dimension? We can add a scale. And in this case, we're going to change this to OBJ. There's a number of them, GTLF. I could do so much in here. But the thing is, we actually made a 3D object. So... Ooh, what is that, Marsha? You got a Maxon 1 plus Adobe Substance 3D are offered together? I did not know. I'm going to click export. It exports out both of those file types. And now we have an OBJ. OBJ, we won't worry about exporting that. But OBJ is right in here. So here's the material, and then here's the object. Now, I actually made something flat. I would actually consider, instead of making this a flat, true plane, I would consider doing an extrude. And if I did this differently, I would do an extrude with just like 5 pixels, just a very small depth. Because right now it doesn't have any thickness. And I need to show the edge of that card. So I would encourage you to use extrude. We'll select that, give it a second. Turn off the rendering. And now this has some depth to it. So here's, 10 pixels, 5 pixels, but there's like a little bit of depth to it. So there we are, 2. Oh yeah, see, that's what I want. I want this sort of depth. Ever so slightly. Looks really good. See, we just need a little bit of that edge. And we're doing awesome now. Cool. I could have fun with this like all day long. This is so much fun. We're in Illustrator, and this is your gateway drug to more intense 3D. Yeah, keep the material files because they're linked back to it. So make sure you do that. Wade, did you miss all the pro tips? Yeah, buddy. We started almost 25 minutes ago, man. You missed all the pro tips. I am only doing a couple at a time just because I'm able to go a little bit more in depth. But I'm certainly glad you're here. And just to recap for my buddy Wade, we did some brush pro tips. So we were able to make those brushes. We could just option key to replace these items. And I went over the color shifting. And then also we did a global edit where we were able to take these diamond cards and turn them into these spade cards just by doing a global edit, which is nice. We exported them out easily using just our export for screens. I also showed the export assets panel. Because not only that, you could load everything up in here. And for that asset export, I had a 3D item that I made as well because we wanted to show an example of this actual card. And that's where we dove into just some pro tips of mapping a graphic onto a 3D object. Because most people just see materials and they don't know that you can actually map a graphic on there. And that's the short of it. Wade, I appreciate you, buddy. Robert, Marsha, appreciate all you guys, man. Can we hang out more? Please? For the love of God and all that is holy, can we hang out more? I miss you guys. I miss just creating stuff and being inspired by you. So thank you so much. That is about it for me. There's a ton more things that I could talk about, but I would just be rambling. So again, appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. That recap was just for Wade. Yeah, I can usually change the numbers to black on the spades. What I would do is I would probably do a global. I would have those. Yes, you just go and you could do find all the colors of that fill. But yeah, so all right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Stay in touch. I'll be online making things. Appreciate you guys, and we'll stay in touch. We'll see.